Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 89 of the A15 Exchange. And well, another weekend, another vacation. But I'm also mad. It's the usual. It's the usual in my life, but it's definitely not the usual in the sports world. Nor is it really in the entertainment world, as we just had Coachella wrap up yesterday, last night, or I guess this morning, depending on which coast you live on. But we do have plenty to talk about, as always. If you want to skip ahead, you know the drill. If you want to skip ahead, you want to go to that combat sports, you don't want to wait for my intro, right? You just Chris, stop the intro. Combat sports, I want to hear what you said about Earl Spence. Feel free to skip ahead, right? All that stuff, timestamps in the description. Also, my social media links. If you want to, watch me live tweet the NBA playoffs, or follow me on IG, see my stories, whatever it is, on TikTok, all the stuff. We got the NFL draft coming up, so I'll be posting some more stuff there. Feel free to follow me there. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you are enjoying the content. But we are back. We are back on the blue couch. We are back in front of the camera. And my. It was an interesting week, to say the least. But of course, like I said, we're going to start off with combat sports. And well, Earl Spence versus Ugas. Spence versus Ugas. Kind of felt like, at first when this was first announced, I was a little iffy because, of course, there's one matchup that I've wanted and that everybody else has wanted in that welterweight division that seems imminent. And after Saturday night's performance, it is now imminent. It is now undeniable. It's going to happen because Earl Spence Jr. took care of business with a dominating display. A lot of questions about, how would he be after the car accident? How would he be after eye surgery? He looked even better. I mean, it was one of the finest Spence performances I've seen in a while against some of his best comp to unify, not undisputed, but unify now 3 of the welterweight belts, which means there is 1 belt left for old Earl Spence. The truth, there is 1 belt left, and that belt belongs to Terrence Bud Crawford, which means the matchup we have all been waiting for is finally going to happen. Before we get there, let's talk about Spence Ugas. Listen, Ugas showed a lot of toughness. I mean, he stuck in there, he hung in there, but it was just levels. There were levels. There were levels to this, and Earl was just on a different level, man. His body work was so, it was so spectacular. The body work from Earl Spence Jr. in this fight was tremendous. He is one of the best. He's up there with like Canelo for me in terms of body punchers. It was just textbook. And just the constant pressure, him never getting tired, it seemed. He got rocked because of, the mouthpiece fell out. He, thought he was going to go get it. Got rocked a little bit, but he fought back from that like it was nothing. And it just relentless. He would not go away from Ugas, and he punished him. He punished him for 10 rounds, and he got the doctor stoppage for the TKO in the 10th, as Ugas could not see out of that right eye. No matter what he says, that thing was swollen shut. He was in bad shape. And it was the right choice, protect the fighter. Ugas, great fighter, tremendous welterweight, but there's 2 all-time greats potentially that are in that division, man. And it's been a long time coming. It has been a very long time coming. I feel like we've been calling for this fight for about 3 years now, and it's finally going to happen. It cannot be denied. At this, there is no way that y'all duck each other. At this point, I get that you're on opposite, promoters. I get all the logistics. I get the money thing. It does not matter. This fight, like I said a year ago when we discussed this fight is not about the money. And I will say it again. I forget what episode it was because I had the same exact conversation after either Bud won. I think he maybe Kell Brook. I think it was after that fight. This fight is not about the money. This fight is about glory. This fight is about legacy. This is bigger than money. I don't care who thinks of it. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You will make far more money from winning this fight and what comes after than you will in this fight. You're going to make a lot of money in this fight. Don't worry about a 60-40. Don't worry about who thinks is the bigger. Take the 50-50. Let's find out who's the best. This fight is much, much bigger than money, and there's very few things you can say that are bigger than money in this world. But this fight is about how you will be remembered, and that lasts much longer than how much money was in your bank account, especially when you already have generational wealth. So I look forward to it being confirmed, because it should be all but confirmed. Spence said that's the guy I want. Make it happen. All right, make it happen. Ugas, very, very tough. But listen, there was levels to this. We're getting Spence Crawford. Finally, it seems. Surely, there's no way they botched this. Surely, right? UFC Fight Night. We have Belal versus Luque 2. Of course, Vicente took Belal out in quick succession the first time around. But Belal showed how much he's improved as a fighter, and he takes the UD over Vicente Luque, who had been the people's riser up that welterweight division, a guy that a lot of people thought was going to enter the elite with this one, but it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be, and it exposed Luque for some weaknesses that wouldn't have been pretty. All right, it would not have been pretty, to be honest. Luque's takedown defense definitely needs some work. Belal basically took him down for will and then was able to keep him down. Despite having no submission threat, from Belal Muhammad, Vicente was not able to get up. He was not able to get up, and that's what ended up costing him this fight. Is just a lack of takedown defense. Even on the feet, sure he was landing, but Belal was getting his shots in. It was just a tremendous performance from Belal Muhammad, and Luque got exposed. He got exposed. Now, with that said, I don't think Belal is beating, matchmaking wise. I think probably he gets Gilbert next. Would make a lot of sense for him to get Gilbert, and for Kamzat to get Colby, and of course Leon versus Kamaru, which I'm not sure if it's pretty much all but confirmed. That's pretty much the de facto. That's the next guy. That's the next matchup, That's the next matchup. I don't think he beats Gilbert Burns, respectfully. But it's nice to see some new blood. It's nice to see some new blood. It's nice to see the welterweights fighting each other. And yeah, it's a very, very good position at the top. It's a very, very, very good division at the top. So should be interesting to see what happens there. But congrats to Belal, he gets it done. Going over to the MLB, because we're going to let the NBA be the main event that it deserves to be. So we're going to go over to the MLB. Of course, the MLB season is underway. It kicked off last week. The week before. Episode 88, we covered that. But this week in episode 89, we have some stuff to talk about. As it's some of the same from last year, but we also have a newcomer. We're going to start off with that. Hunter Greene. You may remember him from the Sports Illustrated cover, from 5 years ago, when he was the #1 prospect who was doing something similar to one of the people we're going to talk about, in this MLB section, in terms of going to waves. Well, Greene, minor league, top prospect, blah, 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 had some injuries here and there, had to get Tommy John, but anyways, he's back, he's a pitcher, and my, what a pitcher Hunter Greene is, looking like the future ace of the Cincinnati Reds. He broke the MLB record for most pitches over 100 thrown in one game with 39. He put on a clinic. I mean, he's been clinical in these first, couple outings for Greene. He's just been so impressive. He was giving the Dodgers issues. I mean, there's just no real way to hit what some of the stuff he's got. It's just filth. It's just absolute filth. Throwing that hard, and then the record, it's filth. It's filth. It's why he got the hype that he had coming out of high school, and why he had the hype he had as a prospect, and just to see him, come back after the injury and still be just as good as Hunter Greene was supposed to be is very exciting. It's very exciting with a lot of young stars in the MLB, and Hunter Greene looks like he's going to join that foray as a pitcher. And, it's nice. We've been talking about the hitters a lot. We're about to talk about the hitters. So it's nice to see some pitching talent rise. But yeah, Hunter Greene looking like a superstar. Speaking of superstars, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is back with a vengeance. All right, 5 home runs for Vladdy in I think 5 games or 6 games, 5 and 6 or something ridiculous. Dude is picked up right where he left off in that AL MVP race against Ohtani last year. Nearly won it, and yeah, Vladdy firmly establishing himself as one of the best players of this era in the world right now. Just dominant start from Vladdy, and the Blue Jays are a very, 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 very dangerous team. A very dangerous team. As a Yankees fan, they scare me more than any other team in that division, just because of how talented that Blue Jays roster is, and having a guy like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, it's dangerous. Dangerous, 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 dangerous. Shohei Ohtani, the guy that actually won AL MVP, and of course the biggest star arguably in the sport right now. 3 home runs for Shohei in quick succession. It's like he gave everybody a little head start those first couple games and then said, all right, it's time. And Ohtani has been on fire since. The bat is working. Of course, the arm is always working, it seems. Ohtani settling back in. It's going to be interesting to see what the most dynamic player in baseball, see what he's got as an encore. Because it was very exciting this year. We'll see if he's able to top it this year. But solid start for Shohei, if I say so myself. And the Angels, we'll see what they're able to do. Joe Adele, I saw he was making some plays. And of course, the Fishman is back, the best player in baseball. Mike Trout has returned. So we'll see what the Angels will be able to do, if they can reverse some of the Angels' fortune that they typically have, and improve upon some of their faults. But for now, Shohei back in business. Same thing with Vladdy. Looks like last year, doesn't it? Looks like last year. Hunter Greene also superstar phenom. Now heading over to entertainment. Coachella was this past weekend. We had some. I mean, honestly, it was pretty good Coachella, if I say so myself. It continued to give me FOMO once again, in that I need to make it to a music festival very soon. Alright, very, very soon. Head in the Clouds might be a possibility. We'll see what the finances look like. You guys can help that out and help my Head in the Clouds fund if you want to. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. We are less than 400 away from monetization, so I appreciate y'all love. On a more serious note, Head in the Clouds forever. Speaking of stuff that happened at Head in the Clouds and at Coachella, 88 Rising had their set, which was one of the best sets of the week. I'd say up there with Anita as well. Anita's the girl from Rio. She's a great performer. But yeah, Head in the Clouds forever. Jackson, oh my goodness. I know he had the audio problems and y'all gotta fix that, but my boy Jackson went crazy. He went crazy. That new song and the choreo that went with it was different. That was different. BB is my wife. I tweeted that out. That woman is special. Also the song she dropped along with that, Best Lover, very good, very, very good song. That definitely got added to the playlist. We also have Froyo featuring Rich Brian and Warren Hugh. Warren's been a riser for me recently. I'm starting to get a little bit more into his music, so yeah, another solid verse for him. And Brian, they've been a dynamic duo. BB also contributed some vocals on that for Froyo. Another great song off of this kind of mini project for Coachella that had 88 Rising did. And of course, I'd be amiss if I talked about that set and did not talk about 21 reuniting for the first time since 2015. Just out of the blue, alright? Just out of the blue. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I had an out-of-body experience when that happened. Alright? I was in disbelief. I knew she was performing, right? But then when she went back and then they started rising out, I was like, there ain't no way. There ain't no way this is what I think this is. And then it was electric. Alright, it was electric. Shout out to 21 Legends. It was kind of cool. Blackpink got me into the genre, way back in 2019 when they took over Coachella. And now to see, it come full circle with their predecessor coming back, right? At Coachella, and it was just a nice full circle moment. So shout out to both of those legendary to the best girl groups of all time. So shout out to them. Other stuff that happened at Coachella. What else? The Weeknd set. He performed Crew Love. If Drake would have came out, bro, I'd have been kind of tight that I missed that part of the set. Doja's set was also fantastic. Of course, we saw Zay address the stuff that happened and leaks that happened like a month ago or 2 months ago. Yeah, I think it was like 2 months ago. Time's going by kind of fast this year. What else happened? Yeah, all your favorite influencers were there and all that stuff. So yeah, Coachella, another great Coachella. We'll see who the headliners are next year. I know Harry held it down, Billy held it down, so shout out to them. But yeah, Coachella came and went. I need to go to a festival. Telly. Alright, let's talk about Telly. Moon Knight. Mark. Oh, the situation you find yourself in right now, my dear boy. Harrow is on one. He's got the scarab, and now he's displaying the power. It's looking kind of grim. All right, but we are seeing Mark and Steven kind of coexist more. We're seeing the relationship with Layla kind of evolve, and seeing where we go from there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Mark seems to be hiding something from Layla that he probably should tell her. Pertaining to Khonshu and what Khonshu's future plans are. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Moon Knight's been great so far. Oscar Isaac is phenomenal actor. And yeah, it was another great episode of Moon Knight. There's nothing else more to say. Just another intriguing episode, and just kind of the dynamics between everybody just continue to evolve and look ever so more interesting. Winning time. All right, winning time. Magic is a dog, bro. Magic is not just, he's a savage. He's a savage. Her friend, bro. She didn't show up one time, and you did her friend, made up with her, and then was like, nah, that's just the bro is a dog. All right. But we also saw Pat and Paul team up for the first time on the road trip. He brought Pod in as a assistant coach. And we know how the rest of that story goes. If you know the story of the Lakers and Pat Riley and just kind of basketball, you know how that went. But yeah, we got to see Pat Riley join the fray here, and a great rendition of Young Larry Bird as we got to see Magic Bird for the first time and everything that goes there. This was one of my favorite episodes. This probably, honestly, I dare go say this was my favorite episode of Winning Time so far. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. And then the whole Celtics, Lakers thing, Magic being a savage, the drama between Paul and Pat just to kind of help ground the show a little bit. It was just good. It was good. It was good fun. And yeah, it's been a great show, man. I know they got renewed for season 2, which is dope. But yeah, Winning Time, highly recommended. It's been a great show. It's been a great show. I was hopefully optimistic about the show going in, and it's delivered for me. It's absolutely delivered for me. So yeah, Winning Time, HBO Max. Go check it out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what you're here for. All right, you know exactly what you are here for. All right, you are here for the NBA playoffs. All right, I said it was the main event. This is the last major topic. It's been a very short episode. All right, this has been a shorter episode, which sometimes it's nice to have those longer episodes when more stuff happens, and it's nice to have some of these shorter episodes. When we can do a shorter episode, have it brief, did everything, and now let's focus on the important thing, the main events. The NBA playoffs kicked off this week. The play-ins are never going away, by the way. All right, they're stuck. All right, I was out, and I was vocally out. I've said this on the podcast. I was very much so out on the play-in. I've been converted. I'm okay with it. I'll allow it. I know it's been a back and forth, and I'll allow it. It's made for some very exciting basketball and some interesting storylines. And you know what? It's not all that bad. It's really not all that bad. I know it's like, the race for 8, you just got to make it into the 4. But you know what? It's made for some good basketball. I just want good basketball, so it is what it is. All right, play-ins are here to stay. But the first round kicked off. Of course, we made our predictions last week, so if you want to go check that out, go to episode 88 and check down what I had to say for the first round. But let's talk about what actually happened in game 1 of the first round, yeah? Jazz Dallas kicked us off. And well, the Dallas Mavericks are missing Tim Hardaway Jr., but most importantly are missing one Luka Doncic. So not high expectations here, but in my mind, did they play it close? The Jazz get the win 99-93 in game 1. Spider took a while, all right? He took a while, had a very rough first half, but he kicked it in. He turned it on, all right? He turned it on, and he became the Spider that we all know and love. 32-6 for Spider Mitchell. Yeah, like I said, took a while to heat up, but when he got hot, it was over, and he led that team there. Bojan Bogdanovic I mean, both of them. Both Bogdanoviches, one for the Hawks, Bogdan and Bojan, both showed up big time this week, all right, in the play-in and in game ones. So this time we're highlighting Bojan for Utah. 26, 5, and 4. He made all the right plays. What else? Spencer Dinwiddie had 22. Jalen Brunson had 24. Trying to help the Mavericks, pick up the slack with not having Hardaway, not having Luque, of course. But it wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. Spieth he was just different. All right, he was just different, and that was the reason. Some solid defense at the end for the Jazz, and they were able to get it done. But I will say, all hope is not lost for the Mavericks. All right, all hope is not lost. I don't know if Luka's coming back for this series, but all hope is not lost. After a game one like this, they could make it interesting. I wouldn't bet on it, but yeah, they made it interesting in game one at least. Minnesota takes out Memphis. This was a series that I highlighted and said you might need to watch out for this one because just the way it's going to match up, it's going to be an interesting matchup for the Grizzlies. I know they're number 2 seed, but this Timberwolves seed at number 7, they're for real. All right, they're for real, and they made a statement in game one with the win, 130-117. Anthony Edwards, for all of the hype Ja Morant he deserves and that he got. I'm going to be the news person for sport. I'm going to be the person that highlights Ant, all right? So a lot of people talking about Ja. We're going to talk about Ant. We're going to talk about Ant because he was the man. This was the young star that took over that game. It was the guy. It wasn't Ja, even though Ja got his stuff off. It was Anthony Edwards, all right? He looked every bit the superstar that everybody believes that he will be and soon will be one day. He looked every bit. He looked every bit. He looked like this might be his coming out party. 36 for Ant. Cat had 29 and 13. The duo was dynamic, and yeah, they were giving Memphis all types of issues all game long. Cat in the interior making plays. Anthony just being one of the best scorers in the league, which is what he is. And yeah, they had their way. Malik Beasley had 23 off the bench, which was also massive. Ja had a good game, 32 and 8. Dylan Brooks had 24. Brandon Clark had 13 and 12 off the bench. But it was not enough. This Timberwolves team is here. All right, they made a statement. Cat and Ant, when they're playing at the level that they are, the Timberwolves are a team that I think are almost in that situation that the Suns were in, right? Where you have this great guard, you have this great young big man. You just need whatever vet you can place in there to put them over the top. And I know they've got people like Patrick Beverly, right, helping that out. And that just, it's a recipe for success, man. It's a recipe for success. Not that the Grizzlies don't have something like that, I guess, with Triple J and Ja. It's just that Timberwolves team, I think, is, I'm not going to label them my official dark horse, but they're a team to watch out for sure. For sure. Now let's go to the East, yeah? Philadelphia and Toronto. Now, I said Toronto's got Philly on watch, all right? Philly needs to be on upset watch. Well, they said relax, all right? They said everybody needs to relax. Because it was a nightmare game one for Toronto. Scotty got hurt after being really their best player that entire game. He had 15, 10, and 8, the rookie did in his first playoff game, which was great before the injury. But yeah, it was just a nightmare. It was a nightmare. For all that defense that we were talking about, non-existent. Tyrese Maxey had a day. The youngest to ever drop, I think, 30-plus for the Sixers in playoff history. In their playoff history at 21 years old. Maxey, what a steal. What a steal. Looks like he's going to end up being 38 and 5 for him. 5 threes. James Harden. Tranquilo. 22, 5, and 14 for Harden. The beard is back. No worries. Embiid had 19 and 15. Toby had 26, 6, and 6. Listen, when those four are playing the way that they did in that game, the Sixers are contenders. They're contenders. They are championship contenders. When they all play at the level that they played in Game 1 against Toronto, they are absolutely championship contenders. Now, whether they can do it on a consistent basis is going to determine what ceiling this team reaches. But when they play like this, they don't have a ceiling. All right, they are championship contenders, bona fide, and they're on the right side of that East bracket to make a run. So we'll see what happens in Game 2, but a dream scenario for Philly, a nightmare for Toronto. No pun intended. Golden State takes down Denver, 123-107 in Game 1. Jordan Poole. This was the Game 1 of the young guard, right? The young guards just all showed out. It wasn't Steph. It wasn't Clay. It was Jordan Poole who got it done for Golden State. He entered the death lineup and he sent Denver to their death. All right, 30 points for Poole, 5 threes. Will Barton had 24, 6, and 5. The Joker had 25, 10, and 6, but it was not enough. It was not enough. Kerr, masterclass, but Jordan Poole. I mean, it's a crime. It's a crime he wasn't a finalist for Most Improved Player because he should have won it. He should have won it. He is my Most Improved Player. He is the people's Most Improved Player. Poole with a star-making performance in Game 1. And, yeah, Golden State takes out Denver. That should be their series. Denver, again, without Murray, without MPJ. You got Joker. That's all you really got to worry about. The Warriors should have the talent to deal with it. They should advance pretty easily, and they look like they were going to do that in Game 1. Miami, Atlanta. After the brilliance of Trae Young versus Cleveland, and him just taking another city over, embracing being the villain, Miami provided a good enough test. They provided much so a good enough test for Trae Young, as they had him locked up. They had Trae Young in prison. All right, my boy was in prison. 1 for 12. Trae Young goes as Duncan Robinson has a day. 27 points, 8 threes. Jimmy Buckets had 21, 6, and 4, and Miami rolled. 115-91. This game was not even that. I mean, it wasn't close. It wasn't close from the jump, from the tip-off to the end of it was not close. Miami outclassed Atlanta in all facets of the game, and now without Capella, dealing with John Collins being injured, it's just not looking good. It's not looking good. It's not looking like we're going to see much of villain Trae Young. But like I said, listen, Miami, y'all know what it is, all right? It's just like the Winter Soldier. Do not say Trae Young because that will turn him into a different beast. Don't poke the bear. Even though y'all look good in Game 1, y'all the number 1 seed, do not poke the bear, and y'all be fine. You should be, possibly even a sweep here. After a dominant performance like that, they're looking real good. They got some injuries. Just do not say those words and poke the bear because it will not end up how y'all want it to. In the best game of the Game 1s, in what many people believe will be the best series, the dream happened for me. Even though I picked Brooklyn, and I say Brooklyn is still, and I will still say Brooklyn is still absolutely until they are beaten. Until I see them in the grave, I'm taking the same mindset as I had last year. They are the championship favorite. But Boston and my boy Jason Tatum provided me with a little hope. A little hope. Not full hope, but a little hope in Game 1. An incredible game with a game winner from Tatum off of some great ball movement at the end, not panicking from the Celtics, and some great defense on the possession before that against Brooklyn, shutting down KI, and then forcing KD to just kind of throw it up, which, I mean, sometimes works out for him. But didn't work out on this day, all right? JT had 31. Al Horford threw it back to the Hawks days. 20 and 15 for Big Al. Marcus Smart had 20 points. Jaylen Brown had 23. Again, it was very similar to the Philly performance in which when the 4 best players on that team show up, they're going to live up to that potential. They're going to be a very hard team to beat. Even against a team like Brooklyn, they're going to be a very hard team to beat. When they show up, I said last week, Jason Tatum needs to go to a different place. He needs to be the superstar that we have, claimed him to be. Similar to what I said about Anthony Edwards, but on a much higher note because Tatum's better than Ant as of now. Tatum needs to go to that place in this series. He needs to have a legendary series, a career-defining series, right? He needs to be the guy. And he was the guy in Game 1. He got the game winner. He dropped the 30 ball. He was the man. Kyrie Irving versus Boston continues to be an intriguing saga. He hates that crowd. The crowd hates him. It's mutual. He still dropped 39 on their head, but it wasn't to be. The Kyrie masterclass just was not to be. Nick Claxton had 13 and 8 off the bench, but like I said, it wasn't to be. KD had a nightmare. He had an awful, awful game. So yeah, Kyrie's masterclass just kind of erased because Boston was a better team. Straight up was a better team. Ike did a great job as coach, and they didn't panic. They didn't freeze. They didn't fold in the way that we've seen some of the Celtics teams of this era do so in the past when they were younger. They did not do that this year. They did not do that this year, and that bodes for a very intriguing case in what a lot of people are hyping as the best series and potentially an all-time great first-round series. But we'll see what happens when Boston takes Game 1. Milwaukee takes out Chicago 93-86. If you like defense, this was the game for you. The Greek Freak did Greek Freak. I mean, it's 27-7. It's 27-16. No surprises there. That's what he does that in his sleep. Okay, does it in his sleep. He had some outrageous plays in this game, by the way. But Brook Lopez was also huge down the stretch. He was huge. He was the clutchest player for the Bucks down the stretch there. 18 points for Brook Lopez. Bobby Portis had a double-double with 10 and 12. Nikolai Vucevic, 24-17. Can't ask for much more. Missed out on that layup. That would have been huge down the stretch, but you can't really put this game on him. Zach LaVine shooting 6 for 19 is not ideal, and DeMar DeRozan shooting 6 for 25 is also not ideal. If the Bucks can lock up the 2 stars for this Bulls team, then they'll get the sweep. All right, straight up, they will sweep the Bulls. Because that's what's going to come down to. They're going to need to keep this defense that they played in Game 1 and keep that over the stretch of the upcoming games if they want to take out this Bulls team, because you cannot, absolutely not let Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan go nuclear the way we saw them go a couple times in the regular season. That absolutely, under no circumstances, can happen. But for now, the defending champs look like the defending champs, found a way to win in Game 1, and that's all that matters. And to end it off in the nightcap, Phoenix took on New Orleans, and again, similar to that Miami-Atlanta game, this one was never close. It was never close. All right, this looked like number 1 versus number 8. Okay, it looked like it. CP3 was in a different place. He looked like vintage CP3. He looked like this is why he's one of the top 5 best point guards to ever lace him up. Chris Paul, 37 and 10 for the point guard, and he was holy. All right, he was holy with the basketball yesterday on Easter. He rose. He rose to the occasion. All right, CP3 was a monster. He was a monster against his old team, the team that drafted him. They couldn't do anything with him. Book had 25 and 8 assists to go with it. Ayin had 21 and 9. CJ had 25, but listen, 9 for 25 is not going to get it done. Going to need to be a lot more efficient. BI's going to have to step up. This Pelicans team is dangerous. All right? They had a hell of a run in that play-in with Zion back at full health. Possibly even a contender. And they've got the Lakers pick. Really, I think they got 2 first. So this Pelicans team is going to be very dangerous very soon. I'm just not sure if it's this year, and certainly not against this Suns team, who have to be one of the championship favorites. But yeah, soon for the Pelicans, just not now. Suns, the time is now. All right, the time is now. Point guard goes off on Easter, and I don't see anything more fitting. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, that of course means we have reached the Roundup. And we're going to kick that off with the RBC Heritage was a very, very good tournament this past weekend between Cantlay, Varner, and just a whole host of people that had a chance to win that on Sunday. Jordan Spieth started off hot with the 2 eagles in the first 5 holes, and he never let go of the lead. He never let go of the lead. The best golf I've seen Jordan play in a long time. He needed this win. He needed this win to get back on track. The former #1 golfer in the world, 3-time major winner, needed this. He needed this. He needs to get back to winning ways. And yeah, it looked like the Spieth of old, and the Spieth of what many believed that he would be at the RBC. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, solid stuff. A great tournament overall. And shout out to Jordan Spieth. He was fantastic. Roki Sasaki. I want to get this right. Roki Sasaki. There we go. Roki Sasaki is the next one. As long as his arm doesn't fall off. But he is the next one. 17 perfect innings now over in the Japanese Professional League in the NBL. Yeah. Is it the NBL? No, it's the Australian. What is it? The MPB? MPB. Anyways, for Nippon, I'm in disbelief. He is looking like the next phenom. At 20 years old, 17 straight perfect. The man nearly threw 2 straight perfect games. They wanted to rest his arm, so they didn't let him complete the second one. But 17 straight perfect innings. He struck out 54 this year. Listen, the Mariners are salivating, the Cubs are salivating, everybody in the league should be salivating. He throws upper 90s, almost 100 at 20 years old, with the stuff he's got and with the performance he's putting on, 17 perfect innings. Roki Sasaki, you need to be on the watch. We will be following him here on the A15 Exchange and seeing if this continues, because he's on a historic pace right now, and he's been fantastic. Now, let's go to track. We don't always cover track on here, but we will cover it today. As of the Tom Jones invitation, we had some interesting things go down. Matthew Bowling joined the Under 10 Club officially. Of course, we have that high school 998. Well, he is his first win legal 998 finally here, 3 years later here. So welcome Bowling to the Under 10 Club. Hopefully you don't peak too early like you did there in indoor, right? You peaked a little bit too early, folded in the national championships. That could have been done to you doing too many events. It's going to be interesting, like I said, to see what happens with Bowling. But yeah, number 2 in the world after this week. Michael Williams may be first in the world. I'm not quite sure about that. Or it might be Azamati. It's either Azamati or Micah. It depends. I know Micah's wasn't win legal, but I guess translated to win legal, it would be. Either way, Bowling, welcome to the Under 10 Club. We've awaited you for quite some time. Florida broke the collegiate record in the 4x4. I mean, as a USC fan, I'm hurt, but, you know, congrats to the Gators. That track program is ridiculous. But yeah, 2 minutes, 58 seconds, 53. 258.53. History. We'll see if they can take the national championship in both the women's and men's. Of course, they won the women's and indoor, so we'll see what happens there. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed. Episode 89 has come to a close. Like I said, NBA playoffs are here, so that's going to be dominant. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there and everything else is happening. Boxing is back. We got a lot of stuff coming up there, so we'll talk about that next week in episode 90. But for episode 89, and for me, Ocho, signing off.